Welcome everybody, my name is Emily Duncan and I work with the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. We are also known as the IURC. The IURC is hosting tonight's field hearing. If you aren't familiar, we are the state government agency responsible for the regulation of public utilities in the state of Indiana. The agency includes 5 appointed commissioners who each have an equal vote on all formal cases before the commission. The IURC hears evidence in cases filed before it and makes decisions based on the evidence presented in those cases. The IURC is required by state statute to make decisions in the public interest to ensure the utilities provide safe and reliable service at just and reasonable rates. Field hearings, such as this one, provide you with an opportunity to formally offer comments to the Commission on cases under consideration. Before the Commission reaches a decision in this case, it reviews the evidence presented by all parties, including the comments that you will share here this evening. We are joined tonight by Chairman Houston, as well as Commissioners Bennett, Freeman, Valletta, and Ziegner. Presiding Administrative Law Judge Kresge, and our court reporter Amy, who will record your comments to be included in the official record of the case. Because this is a pending proceeding before the IURC, the commissioners and the administrative law judge are not allowed to answer any questions or engage in any discussion in the case. They are here to simply listen to what you have to say tonight. Of course, if you have any questions about tonight's hearing, feel free to find me or my colleague Ben in the back of the room, and we'd be happy to talk to you. It is important that you speak loudly and clearly into both mics so that your testimony can be picked up by our court reporter. However, the court reporter's mic is the most important, so it goes in the official record. With that, I'm going to turn this over to the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, which is a state agency that formally represents consumers' interests in matters before the Commission. Olivia Rivera from the OUCC will now offer a few comments prior to giving the mic off to Judge Kresge to begin tonight's hearing.
Thanks, Emily. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Olivia Rivera, and I work with the OUCC, the separate state agency representing the public in this case and in others before the Commission. There are 4 things that we want you to know before this hearing begins. Number 1, this hearing has one purpose, and that is to hear comments from the public. You will not see a presentation from the utility tonight because it filed its case in writing back in June. The OUCC's fact sheet has more information about the utility's request along with other information. Again, tonight is about giving you the chance to speak. Number 2, this is one of several steps in the case process. Those steps are listed in the fact sheet, and a final order from the Commission is not expected until spring of 2026. A team of engineers, accountants, and attorneys are reviewing the utility's request and will file testimony on September 9th. Number 4, you should have received a form alongside your fact sheet. If you would like to speak tonight, please fill out the top half of that form and return it to our table. If you don't want to speak tonight, but still wish to make comments, you can do so in writing using that same form or in the avenues noted in the fact sheet. Written comments carry equal weight to the spoken comments heard here tonight. They will become part of the formal case record so long as we receive those comments by September 2nd. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. If you have any other questions, please feel free to find me or another OUCC staff member in the back of the room. And with that, I will turn it over to Judge Kresge to begin the hearing.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Kresge, and I am the Administrative Law Judge assigned to cause number 46258. With me are Chairman Houston, Commissioner Valletta, who is also assigned to this case, Commissioner Bennett, Commissioner Freeman, and Commissioner Ziegner. We are also joined by Court Reporter Amy Tokash. The Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission has scheduled tonight's hearing to provide the public an opportunity to testify concerning the relief requested in this cause. Testimony may be provided orally or in writing. All comments, both oral and written, will become part of the record in this case and will be considered by the Commission. This is a formal hearing, and all testimony provided will be given under oath. For all testimony to be properly taken down by the court reporter, please speak into the microphone slowly and clearly. Please state and spell your name before you begin testifying. As a formal proceeding, outbursts such as booing, cheering, or clapping are not permitted. We have this venue until 7:45, So that everyone here has the opportunity to present their views, testimony should only address the specific issues raised in this proceeding, which is AES Indiana's request for authorization to increase its electric utility service rates and charges. This will allow this hearing to progress efficiently and allow all those who wish to an opportunity to testify before the commission. Individuals testifying are encouraged to avoid repetitive or lengthy comments. If you are going to testify orally, Mr. Cashin will let you know when to approach the microphone. If you would prefer not to testify at the microphone, you may submit written comments regarding this case, and those will be given the same consideration by the commission as oral testimony. If you have written comments or anything else that you would like to offer into the record, those can be submitted tonight or can be mailed or emailed to the OUCC. The commission will consider all public comments, whether they are made orally or in writing, and the public comments tonight will become part of the record in this cause. However, state law prevents me and the commissioners from responding to your comments as part of this proceeding. Next, I will read the required introduction, and then we will take testimony at the microphone from each witness. This is a field hearing before the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission in a cause docketed before the commission as cause number 46258, captioned as Petition of Indianapolis Power and Light Company doing business as AES Indiana for authority to increase rates and charges for electric utility service through a phase-in rate adjustment and for approval of related relief, including 1, revised depreciation rates, including cost of removal, less salvage, and updated depreciation expense. 2, accounting relief, including deferrals and amortizations. 3, inclusion of capital investment. 4, rate adjustment mechanism proposals, including a new property tax rider. And 5, new schedules of rates, rules, and regulations for service. Notice of the time and place of the hearing was given as provided by law by publication in Marion County in the Indianapolis Star on August 6, 2025. This is a newspaper of general circulation, and this publication was made at least 10 days prior to the date of this hearing. The proof of publication of the notice has been received by the commission and is now incorporated into the record of this cause by reference and placed in the official files of the commission. Notice has also been given to the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor and other interested parties. May we have appearances, please?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Appearing on behalf of the public, Adam Cashin of the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor.
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of the petitioner, Indianapolis Power and Light Company, doing business as AES Indiana, Jeffrey M. Peabody with the law firm of Taft, Stettinius & Hollister, LLP.
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of Citizens Action Coalition of Indiana, or CAC, please accept the appearance of Jennifer Washburn.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to swear in the members of the public who plan to give testimony tonight. If you plan to testify at this field hearing, please stand now and raise your right hand to be sworn in. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you will give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. I do. Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Cashin, the OUCC may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I'm going to call 4 names. The first person is going to come up to the podium, and you'll be the first witness. The other 3 names that I call will be seated in these 3 chairs on the front row labeled reserved. So the first name is Johnny Hall. Second, Andrew Filler. Third, Gregory Catter. And fourth, Adam Richardson. You, Adam? Thank you. Mr. Hall, I'll ask you to state your name and spell it for the record, please. And make sure to speak into the court reporter's mic, which is the black one here.
Sure.
Thank you.
My name is Johnny Hall, spelled Johnnnyhall. I request that the commission deny AES's proposal, which will increase my electric bill by another $30 a month. AES's proposed electric rate hike would be harmful to me, my family, and my community. At a time when the cost of food, housing, and other necessities is already rising, an unnecessary increase in energy bills would only make life more burdensome. The reality is that 1 in 4 households in Indiana already cannot afford to pay their energy bills. That means families are falling behind, racking up debt, or being forced into impossible choices like whether to keep the lights on or to put food on the table. Adding another steep hike on top of this crisis is not just unaffordable, it is irresponsible. It risks pushing even more households into hardship while offering no real relief or protection to the people that can least afford it. Energy is not a luxury, it is a basic necessity, and no family should be left in the dark because a monopoly utility demands higher profits. I respectfully request that the Commission reduce the burden on residential customers by taking the following actions. First, I ask that the Commission significantly reduce AES's return on equity. It is not fair that for AES to demand higher profits when they already have the highest profit margin of any major electric utility in Indiana. Those profits come directly from our bills, which are already higher than they need to be. Over the past year, AES has raised electric bills by 12%, the largest average increase in 2 decades. On top of that, the Commission has already approved a $275 million revenue increase, yet AES is back again asking for nearly double that, to $468 million by 2027. That would mean AES Indiana's authorized profits growing by 77% from 2024 to 2027, even while families and small businesses are struggling to keep up. Hoosiers should not be forced to underwrite record profits for a monopoly utility that faces no competition. If AES wants more revenue, it should come from efficiency, innovation, and service improvements, not from wringing more money out of households that have already paid their fair share. Secondly, I urge you to deny AES's proposal to raise the residential fixed charge from $17 to $20. That's an 18% increase, and it hits families in the worst possible way. A higher fixed charge takes power away from customers, no matter how hard a household tries to conserve energy, like by turning off lights, upgrading appliances, or making sacrifices. The fixed charge guarantees that their bills don't go down. It discourages efficiency, punishes conservation, and leaves people with less control over what they pay. This burden falls heaviest on low-income and low-energy use households, seniors living alone, working families in small apartments, and people already struggling to make ends meet. Indiana already lacks strong affordability programs for consumer protections, and this increase would only make a bad situation worse. Energy bills should reflect what we use and reward conservation, not lock families into higher costs they can't afford. Third, I ask that you deny AES's request that the residential customers like me subsidize the electric rates of AES's largest industrial and commercial customers. This proposal is blatantly unfair. Under AES's plan, households would face a 13.45% increase, while big corporations see far smaller hikes, 6.8% 1/8 for small commercial customers, 8.72 for medium commercial, and only 2.5 for the largest industrial customers. That means families, seniors, and working people will shoulder the steepest burden, while the heaviest users of electricity, the corporations with the most resources, get the best deal. The numbers tell the story. In 2023, industrial customers consumed over 46% of all electricity in Indiana, while residential customers used just 18%. Yet AES wants to raise our rates more than 5 times as much as theirs. That's upside down. It shifts the cost from the corporations, driving demand onto ordinary Hoosiers just trying to keep the lights on. No family should be asked to subsidize the construction of data centers, especially data centers that bring few jobs and little return to the communities where they're built. Just ask Memphis. Or to underwrite the profits of multinational corporations. Fourth, I ask that you please deny AES's request to continue using declining block rates. This pricing scheme is fundamentally unfair. It forces those who use the least energy to pay the highest rates per kilowatt hour, which means the households trying the hardest to conserve and the families already struggling to make ends meet are the ones who shoulder the heaviest burden. Declining block rates punish conservation and penalize low and fixed income households while rewarding the largest users with cheaper power. In practice, it creates a system where the wealthy who can afford big homes and high usage get a discount, while seniors, working class families, and people living paycheck to paycheck end up subsidizing them. Energy is a necessity, and I think that bears repeating. Energy is a necessity, not a luxury, and a fair rate structure should reflect that. Lastly, my concern tonight is not just for my community. Yes, I could bore the commission with details of waiting 6 months for limbs to be cut down, but I'd rather discuss how you can help not just me, but us, fellow Hoosiers. We are all carrying the weight of higher bills, tighter budgets, and the uncertainty that comes when our basic needs like heat and light are treated as commodities first and human rights second. AES has put its customers through the ringer. They are constantly making short-sighted decisions that fit into a larger pattern of extractive, profit-driven capitalism where short-term shareholder returns are valued more than long-term sustainable solutions that protect ratepayers, workers, and the environment. This is not just about one rate hike, it's about a system of predatory corporate behavior that rewards short-term profiteering while leaving the public to absorb long-term risks. And that system is exactly what makes people lose trust in both corporations and the government. And we need to be clear about the political reality. This decision does not happen in a vacuum. Governor Mike Braun will soon, I believe, appoint a new utility commissioner counselor, the very office charged with defending us, the ratepayers, in this case. So just days after that appointment, the counselor's testimony will be due. That choice will determine how strongly the people's side is argued in the proceeding. Governor Braun will also appoint a new commissioner and designate the next chair of the IURC, the body that ultimately decides whether AES gets this increase. These are not small details. They are the difference between an agency that protects the public interest and one that rubber stamps monopoly profits. So the question before us is not only whether the numbers add up, but whether our state government, through Governor Braun's appointments, will stand with ordinary Hoosiers or with a utility monopoly that has already put us through the ringer. I urge you, put people before profits. Deny this rate hike and send the message that Indiana will not tolerate corporate short-termism at the expense of communities. Thank you.
Gregory Catter. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew Filler.
Hey, good evening.
And could you please state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Name's Andrew Filler, A-N-D-R-E-W. Last name is Filler, F-I-L-L-E-R.
Thank you. And remember to please speak clearly and slower for the recording.
Yes. Sorry. Good evening. I live on the southeast side of Indianapolis. I have a small rural farm. For many years ago, we tried to put solar on our roofs, but unfortunately, that is not an option anymore due to no net metering. AES is a monopoly. There's no ifs, ands about it. The city of Indianapolis has no secondary option. We are forced to use AES. Their profits have continued to grow year after year. Like the previous gentleman said, they're now at 10% profits. We need to stop putting profits over people. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Yeah. Why do utilities need to, sorry. Profits should be not the main priority. We should have good, clean electricity, dependable electricity. Right now we don't. We have currently blackouts, brownouts, extended lengths of time for service, and yet AES wants a bigger budget for tree removal, tree management, when they currently don't even take care of the trees they are overseeing. We should not be allowing AES to have 12% profits or 10%, since we do not have an option as a consumer. What's wrong with 5% margin? Please think about that as you review this on yourselves. Please deny their petition to help Hoosiers out in this family. Thank you.
Gregory Catter.
My name is Gregory Catter, Gregory, K-A-T-T-E-R. I'm a resident of Marion County and a residential customer of AES Indiana, and I'm here to speak on case number 46258. One doesn't need an extensive survey to know intuitively that there are very few, if any, ratepayers in support of paying higher rates. A key feature of a prosperous society is access to abundant, reliable, affordable energy. AES has been granted the exclusive franchise to provide electricity to customers in and around Indianapolis, both large and small. With that franchise comes a duty to serve the customers. As with roads, water, and sewers, new customers should bear the cost of added generation and distribution infrastructure, not existing customers. And I don't want to hear that I should set my thermostat to an uncomfortably high temperature to save power while power-hungry data centers use enormous amounts of energy. AES is a for-profit business. Business is about taking risks and reaping rewards for success and paying a price for failure. While I support innovative ways to increase supply, I don't think it is appropriate for AES Indiana to shift the risks and costs to ratepayers in the near term and funnel profits to shareholders in the long term. I ask that the IURC reject AES's petition for increased rates and charges, and that they be admonished to do a better job of preventing and repairing outages and expanding capacity by reinvesting from their profits rather than on the back of customers. Thank you.
Adam Richardson, and I'm also going to call up the next three people as well. Jenny Lee. Is it Joshua Bougie? Bougie. And Mary Zenor? Zener. Mr. Richardson, if you could state your name and spell it for the record, please.
All right, my name is Adam, last name Richardson. A-D-A-M-R-I, last name R-I-C-H-A-R-D-S-O-N. Adam Richardson. I live in Marion County. I'm an Indiana, resident. And for the record, I would like, for, this board, to decline, AES proposed rate increase. I want to state that, it was, I want to say at least a couple of summers ago that AES, and, other utility companies had, requested rate declines, rate decreases, and I think they've done that prior to, a couple of years ago, at least twice. And now, like last year and this year, they, want to, they're steadily increasing, or requesting rate increases, and they're getting everything, that they, that they asked for. And I've done a little research, and, one of the highlights from what I've heard from other, speakers is that we have, data centers throughout the state, at least 20 plus, data, rate, centers that use enormous amounts of, electricity. Do they get exempted from, any of these, proposed rate increases? Or do they, share, some of the burdens? Like I said, as fellow, Hoosiers, we already pay an enormous, amount on our utility rates on a monthly basis. And, like I said, I'm just going to keep this short. I would like, for, this, commissioners to think really hard about AES proposed rate increase and, just, I would say, that they should just decline it. We're already paying a higher amount on our budgets, as it is. Thank you.
Jenny Lee.
Yeah. Hi, Jenny Lee, Jennelee. Hello. Hi, neighbors. So today, I spent a bit of time looking through AES's shareholder reports. For those of you who don't know, AES is a publicly traded company. So they have a board, they have a CEO, and they also are beholden to their shareholders. According to these reports, they posted net profit in 2024 of $1.679 billion. Their trailing 12-month profit from June of this year to June of last year is $922 million. Their discretionary cash, here's how they're planning on spending it. $545 million goes back to the shareholders in the form of a dividend. They're using $400 million to repay debt. That's great. But they're also using $1.66 to $1.68 billion for growth reinvestment. So I'm curious as to why they have to come here and pass the hat around to our neighbors when they already have access to $1.66 to $1.86 billion for growth reinvestment. According to their CEO, during their shareholder presentation at the beginning of August, they are reaffirming 2025 guidance and long-term growth rate targets through 2027. They expect EBITDA growth, that's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. They expect EBITDA growth to significantly accelerate in 2026 to at least the low teens, putting AES well on track to achieve their long-term growth rate through 2027. That's gross. I don't know when it became acceptable to put profits over people, but it's not cool. I hear a lot of things about American exceptionalism, and that basically means that the world looks up to America as the shining city on the hill. But I think in order to judge that, you have to look at whether its citizens get their basic needs met. And when I hear figures like 1 in 4 can't afford to heat their houses in the winter, we should be ashamed of ourselves. We are not the shining city on the hill. So, I think that if the commission is taking this into account, they should not approve the request, because it seems like AES, publicly traded, $13 million salary for their CEO, $3 million for 10 board members, that's total, not each. I don't think they need to pass the hat around. I think they've got all the money they need. Thank you.
Spell your name and state it for the record.
Yes, my name is Joshua Bougie, Joshua Bougie. I'm a resident of Marion County and also here at Perry Township. I relocated here 10 years ago to accept a position with the state. I appreciate the commissioners from the IURC taking this opportunity to listen to the public. I was in your seat a few years ago with Lieutenant Governor, listening to the public for concerns about the Medicaid program. It was very valuable to us. I think it gave us that insight and that touch point with the public and what they're struggling with, the gaps in our services. So thank you for being here as a listening ear. Where I moved from was Northwest Indiana, where we had NIPSCO as our primary power provider. But we also had an alternative, a co-op of that provided electricity as well. I realize having a monopoly in electricity has a long history in the U.S., but I realize that that's not the same throughout the state of Indiana. Since we have, being in Indianapolis, it was sort of a shock to me that I just had one choice, and that this choice was a for-profit company, and that I've experienced a few rate increases since I've been here, under previous ownership as well. But this neighborhood is approximately 15% below the poverty level. There are folks in this very neighborhood, just a few blocks away, that are my neighbors that struggle to keep their house in good repair. They struggle just to meet some of their basic needs. These are my neighbors, these are my friends. And these, even though it may seem like a small increase on paper, this can be the difference between them providing needed care for their children, or making important decisions between whether they can put food on the table or not. So these are real concerns, and even the reasons that AES is requesting this increase. I just experienced some tree trimming on my property. It was a very frustrating experience with their contractor Wright Tree Services. I think they showed up on 3 separate occasions, blocked access to my property without notifying me. If this is what they're asking for increases for, it's really a disservice so far. So just want to echo many of the sentiments shared already, that we do not support this rate increase. We do not see the value of services that they're proposing, and would encourage you to vote against it. Thank you.
And before you go, Ms. Zener, I'm going to call everybody else up who should be in the chairs. So it's going to be Louis Burgess Jr., Liana Shumate. I apologize if I mispronounce any names. And Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith. Okay, we'll call the next one. A representative from the Husham family. I maybe missed the, it might be a little illegible. I can't quite read the fourth letter here. H-O-U-S or G-S-H-A-M. Okay. Ms. Zener, if you could state your name and spell it for the record, please.
My name is Mary Zener, M-A-R-Y-Z-E-N-O-R. And I am also not in favor of this increase, obviously. I don't think anybody has been. Mine is more, and I will tell you my perspective is, I have lived in Indianapolis since 1981, and I moved to Perry Township in 2021. And I had no idea that I should have investigated the reliability of the power grid around my current house until after we moved in. We lost power 3 times in 4 days the first week I lived here. And it's only gotten worse since then, sometimes on a weekly basis. And the worst for me personally was in May of 2025. We lost power at 11:45 p.m. and it wasn't restored until May 17th. That was Saturday at 1:47 p.m. Now this is Indianapolis. We're not a third world country. Last time I looked, we're Indianapolis, Indiana. And what is going on here? And why is nothing being done to resolve these issues? There are multi-day outages constantly. There have been rate increases in the past, and the power reliability has gotten worse. I know I'm lucky that I only had 1 multi-day outage, where others in our city have had multiple events just this summer. But we all deserve better than this. As I stated earlier, I have lived in Indianapolis since 1981. And all those years prior to 2021, there was probably maybe a handful of outages in 40 years where I was living. And now it's constant. And a lot of it just blips. The sun's shining, we lose power. And then it comes back on. Sometimes it's an hour, but I mean, why are we losing power constantly and it down in this area of town? But there's other areas of town where I see these outages for days. I feel horrible for those people. And so I'm coming from that perspective of, if they've had increases in the past, what are they doing with it? Because they're not spending it to keep my power going, and I'm paying the same price everybody else is. So I just don't feel that it's going to solve any of these issues. I think they're going to take the money on something else, but not solve why do we have outages constantly. And so I'm not in favor of it. And my most recent outage was July 26th at 2:46 p.m. I know this because I get text messages when it goes out, and it was restored at 3 o'clock. There was no storms. It's a perfectly sunny day. No explanation for the outage. And so this happens a lot. No real weather event, just power outages constantly. Prior to that, it was July 6th. And again, the most egregious was in May of 2025 when a lot of people lost it for days. And I know this because I get text messages. So I have included all these comments in my written report and exactly how long it was out, when it came back on. And this only goes back to July of 2023 because I didn't know I should have been documenting all the others before that. And so it's just a constant thing that our power goes out. So I just think something has to be done. And if it's not this group, I just would like to know who has to hold them accountable for keeping the power on. This is not a luxury. I mean, my husband is disabled, and we have power units that he uses to get up and down with. The power goes out, he's trapped. So are other people. He's got a CPAP machine, can't breathe. He's got a power bed, it won't move. I mean, I'm not talking about something that we can't live without this. So the problem itself just needs to be resolved, and I'm just not sure who needs to do it, but giving them more money and they don't have to fix what's wrong is just wrong. Thank you.
Louis Burgess Jr.
Good evening, everyone.
If you could please state and spell your name for the record, please.
Louis, L-O-U-I-S, Burgess, B-U-R-G-E-S-S, Jr. Thank you. First of all, I must say that, good evening to the panel. I'm a retired military veteran. I'm also retired from General Motors, 40.2 years with GM. I'm now statewide, I'm a president of statewide labor roundtable. I'm still active at 79, but I must tell you, I'm very disappointed because I see that this is not rocket science. It's not Einstein's theory on relativity. It's simple arithmetic. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. This is where we at. And I reject the rate height increase on these three premises. First of all, I got a billing statement of $1,026.86. There was a billing missed of December of 2023. I then got a billing statement the 1st of March for 2 months, February and March. So I immediately requested an in-person meeting with AES, and guess what? Your shattered doors, brick and mortar are closed. I cannot come in and have an in-person and dispute this payment. So guess what I end up having to do? All my billing statements, when I made my payment, I got documentation disputing that amount. I requested an in-person meeting with AES representative, didn't get it. They promised me, I talked to, I think one individual was Anthony, another was Mandy, and they said, okay, we got you on the record. Never did get that in-person statement. So what I did, I went to you folks, your CAD department, your Consumer Affairs Division, Kendra Lanier, she was an investigator. She investigated, guess what? She never looked at my records. I'm disappointed. You want right. You want a rate height increase? The integrity lies within the fact you service the consumers. You have a right to look at my records to compare with yours before you conclude, hey, what we say to you is just fine, so go along with it. And this is what I've dealt with. As a matter of fact, I have a statement here. I'm going to read it. Let the press and public do the arithmetic of AES's customer billing overcharges. AES Utility 2025 billing statement. Matter of fact, I got a disconnect notice. AES overcharges to its customers for payment installation of AES's new equipment interface system error failure created customers overcharges in billing statements reported by AnyStar in February 2024. And I'm experiencing that. That is not, hogwash. That's a fact. Now, I'm going to read something to you. AES shuttered all brick and mortar offices, forces the interaction to be conducted virtually. This decision has disproportionately affected older citizens who may not have access to be comfortable with the digital platform, leaving them without crucial support and assistance. Personally, I had such an encounter with AES when venturing into AES's business office at 2102 North Illinois Street. I was denied access, finding the doors locked during business hours. After speaking with customer service representative representing billing discrepancies, they indicated that in-person interface business has been down since COVID. Well, COVID's been over 3 or 4 years. And nearly all businesses became pre-pandemic operational. I need to show evidence of personal matter regarding my billing, and the item in question was my Indiana Members Credit Union checking statements. This is what I did. I went and got all of my checking account from my credit union, got all of my payment statements. I want to come in and show you I was never delinquent. It was the error on your new system apparently, because at the end of the day, the statements, the billing statements that was missed in December, I got it documented. I sent an estimated payment of $250. And later on, after that conclusion with CAD, the Consumer Affairs Division, they took it back to AES. Then I got a disconnect notice for $932. But on that cashier's check, this is what I wrote on the cashier's check. I'm going to read it to you, and I want this for the record. I put on the cashier's check that this disconnect billing payment is not for any delinquent bill. It's for the new installation of your interface system passed on to your customers. So what I'm saying is, in my conclusion, I'm looking for a refund. Thank you very much.
Vienna, again, I apologize, Shumate, and please correct me if I mispronounce.
Hello, my name is Liana Shumate, Leana Shumate. Thank you for allowing us to be here today. I think several of the people that have been up here have made some very excellent points. I too would like to have this rate hike denied. Little history. In 1927, IPL came online here in Indianapolis. 2001, AES acquired IPL, and in 2016 they began using the name AES, doing business as IPL or vice versa. I'm not sure how that worked out, but there was a rate increase in 1994 of $10. But if you figure that there are 500,000 customers in Marion County, that's a hunk of change. And that was just a $10 increase in 1994. Now, we have had increases in 2014 for the base rate of 51%. 51%, and the average bill, according to AES, is $200. 51% of $200 plus another 55% for the fixed charges. That's over 100%, okay, which is what's causing this bill to be so high now, right? Okay, then we have in 2018, base rate didn't increase, but what they did, they had these fun little things called trackers. Guess what trackers are? They're little individual fees. If you look on your bill, you'll find out they've got all these little fees for all these little different things that they've decided they want to add to, little fees to add to your bill. Go ahead and look at your bill, you find them there. Okay? Then from 2020 to 2027, they said, well, we think our bill's going to raise about $1.50 every 6 months. Ha! Not true. Okay. So then, between 2023 and 2024, just like the gentleman was just up here said, the billing went haywire, absolutely haywire. I had many of the same issues that gentleman had, and I just gave up because they wouldn't let me speak with anybody. And here's a real interesting point. Most companies say that their salaries are some of the highest costs. But you know what? AES has gotten rid of a lot of people because you can't talk to anybody in person anymore. You can't go to their building. You can't talk to anybody unless you get on the phone or the internet, or maybe you can text, I don't know. But in any case, all that price should be less, but it's not, it's more. Okay, my bill, I finally gave up because I had somebody trying to figure it out with me over the phone, and then they may or may not call me back, and then they called me back, or somebody else called me back. I gave up and paid it. You know, I have better things to do with my life than trying to figure out what $2,000 went where. I don't think I owed it, but I paid it because I'm just not going to deal with that. Then, for whatever reason, there was another quarter per person, as in 25 cents per household raised in 2023 and 2024 time frame. Then in 2025 now, we're looking at a 10.5% increase. And in 2026, you want another 7.5% increase. Now, let me tell you what. Let's say that there's 500,000 people or households paying $200 a month. That means that IPL is receiving $1 million per month from the citizens of Marion County. That's what they're getting if the bill is $200. Once the raise goes into effect, it's going to be a lot more than that, isn't it? That's right. Now, I don't happen to believe it's 500,000. I put the petitioner and the intervener on the spot here and asked them, and they said it was roughly 400 to 500. Well, I actually looked at the census, and in 2020, there were about 378,000 people. So even at 385,000 times 200, that's $77 million. Is that right? $77 million a month. $77 million a month before any increases. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely insane. Now, I won't repeat some of that because I've heard some of that excellently, by the way. But the job of IPL, what is it? To make power and give it to me. Get it to me. So I can turn on my switch, light comes on, turn it off, light goes off. Okay? They need to keep up the infrastructure. They need to make sure it continues. I've had all kinds of little outages. My roommate happens to have saltwater tanks, fish tanks, and every time we have a little thing, we hope somebody's home because invariably something goes off, doesn't come back on, water overflows, and excuse me, I apologize. And so I have to hope somebody's home, or maybe I need to get a generator because I can't count on IPL being there for me. Okay? Now, what they're going to do with this money, they say, is to fund alternative energy sources. I don't know how many more alternative energy sources we need, because we have in this country gas, electric, solar, wind, geothermal, wood, steam, water motion, nuclear. How many more energy sources do we need? Okay. Grid modernization. That one lady said that the grid need to be modified. It probably does. But I think the money they're getting already, I think they can afford to do that. Let's see. Oh, green initiatives. I don't care about tsetse flies in New Zealand or whatever it is this green initiative is going to do for me, because I think if we keep doing those kinds of things, The tsetse flies might be around, but the people of the United States are going to be extinct. I don't care about the green initiatives. I appreciate that we'd like to try to do that, but people come first. So never mind the green initiatives. We don't need to pay for that. Get on your little private jet, fly to New Zealand, pick up some of those flies, bring them home and put them in a zoo, you know, fine and dandy, keep them alive, whatever you're doing with this green initiative. Okay, now, we need somebody to protect us from these crazy rate hikes, and that's what you guys are doing here. And that's why you've invited us here to try to make sure that we're not overcharged. And I think you can see from the people that have spoken, who've had very excellent points, and from what I'm saying too, that we don't need another rate hike. These people in the city and the county and the state, all of wherever AES handles, which is a monopoly, needs to stop raising our rates. Thank you. If nothing else, we need to get a couple billionaires here in the state, maybe create another electric company so there'll be some competition. I don't know what else to say because seriously, enough is enough. Okay, and I didn't mention it, but I too am retired military. I was in for 20 years. And so I just wanted to tell you, I've been all the way around the world a number of times. And I have to say I've been here since 2000 and probably one of the worst places for utilities that I've ever been at as far as pricing goes. I know prices have gone up, so I can't really compare apples and oranges here, but I am. And I think I'm paying a lot more here than I ever was anywhere else. Thank you very much.
I'm going to call up the next three people as well before you start. Ruben Flack, I believe. Nikki Messmore. And Lynn Hall. If you could please state and spell your name for the record.
Jennifer Huffam, Jennifer Hougham. I'm here on behalf of my parents, who are senior citizens and have paid taxes in AES since they moved here all them years ago. I've been was looking on here to see how much the consumer and everything gets paid, the CEO and everything. I found out the CEO gets paid $13 million a year, which is ridiculous. And the bills of the consumer keeps going up over $100. My family now paying $222 on taxes. I mean, not taxes, AES. And I'm on a low income family. I can barely get by eating, so I hope they deny of it going up. Thank you.
If you could please state and spell your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Ruben Flack, REUBEN FLACK. Been living here for 49 years. And everybody's made a lot of good points, but I'm just kind of rethinking how I want to say this. The one thing that makes me worry about this is specifically the data centers. There's a trend growing in the last 5 years. They've grown over 350%. AES offers incentives to have these companies come in, and so does the state, substantially, big tax breaks. So this isn't going to stop. This isn't going to be the last rate increase. There's going to be more because, I mean, AES just told late last year, Google, straight up that they didn't have the power to facilitate their facility. And that just means more power, which I don't understand that. Google can afford to build their own power station. Why should we have to pay for it? So do other companies like Apple and others through the state. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why that's happening, but and it's just going to be not fair. These data centers, in the short term, in the beginning, they do add economic value. There's construction jobs, there's other things about getting it done, but these are mostly autonomous. I mean, they do have personnel. They can be anywhere from 100 to 50 people. There's all different kinds of range of data centers. There are data centers that are probably part of this number that aren't really super massive, but they're still pulling power. And they're mostly, they don't need much once they get going. If anybody here knows the Eastgate Mall, that's a data center. It's huge. My company looked at purchasing some space in there at one point, and it's expensive, and I'm sure it does add revenue at some point. But I mean, for the folks out here, it's just going to keep getting worse. As long as these data centers are incentivized to come here, AES is going to have trouble coming up with the supply. And the only way for them to do that economically in this company here, because even though AES is a big corporation, they try to make everything pay for themselves locally. Now, I will go say that the company bothers me too itself. This company has paid its dividend since 2015, steady, and has increased, only increased that whole time. For the last 10 years, they've been 312 up to 400% upside down debt to equity. So they're literally going into debt to pay these dividends. That says all you need to say. Like, a normal utility companies are complicated, and they all kind of run the same way to a degree. But AES has made a deliberate point to not decrease its dividend, and that's, considering that the CEO does make almost $14 million, and let's just say he makes $1.2 million on salary, he gets that no matter what, and the rest of them are stock incentives. I mean, they have the most expensive resources, human resources, $2.7 million. To do what? I mean, also, just as a side note, I would ask if you looked at the billing system. I mean, I don't know. Who needs to pay $94 million for a billing system these days? Really? $94 million? My company, we're able to build automatic trading algos, and we play Bloomberg every year, and we do all that for less than $2 million a year. My company manages $2 billion. I know all about those kind of systems, and they do not cost $94 million, not just for Indiana. I mean, they could cost maybe over the whole country, but databases and software have become excessively cheap to run, and servers are cheap to build, and for companies like that buy in bulk. So, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on here that just isn't good, and it's like, companies are going to be companies, they're going to try to make money. I mean, that's their job, right? They need to make money. I mean, it is expensive. It's hard to take care of everything. It's hard to keep everybody's power on. It's a lot of work. But when you kind of factor in the steadiness of their dividends, and the other thing that concerns me is that July of this year, there's talks of a takeover. Their stock jumped 20%. BlackRock, BAM, handful of other companies. This is a problem for us, really, if that happens, because if BlackRock were to acquire AES, we'd have a very hard time getting anything done. I mean, they are a mountain, and right now AES is going everywhere they can. They're also doing this in Ohio. They're trying to get more money out of Ohio right now. And if you kind of add all up the stuff that they've done just the last 5 years, and I haven't even gone back, I kind of paid attention to this rate hike, and I spent a few hours on that, and I only kind of went back 5 years. But they've collected, in addition to what they normally do, around $480 million, and they've paid out about $2.5 billion in dividends. And they're 300% upside down. That kind of tells you that the decision to go with them in the first place wasn't a very good one, because amongst their peers, they rank very low. They're not doing very well. they don't manage things that well, at least financially, and they're paying they're paying everybody up top a lot. I don't know compared to bigger companies, but bigger oil companies or bigger energy companies, but they're also trying to pay for an upgrade on 2 coal stations. They want to turn them into natural gas, which is good, but they're also going to try to get everybody they can to pay for that. These people do make money, but they're paying a large percentage of their money out to shareholders, and their biggest shareholders are like State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock. If you total up the top 1% holders and more, that's like 488 million shares out of the 712 million that are outstanding. That's mostly going to people that don't need money. So that's all I just want to say. I really hope you deny this. Not, just to set a precedent. Really, what we need is a 5-year lockout on increases. Not. We've already had an increase. We've had increases already. I mean, if they're having trouble running in Indiana, well, then they need to pull some money from some other places. I mean, they can't keep doing that. I mean, I pay $250, $260 a month, and I can see just the way things going. I mean, people can't afford it. I mean, everybody in here already knows the costs have gone up all over the place. Taxes, depending on where you live, have gone up anywhere from 60 to 87%. Food, it cost me $80 almost to take my family out to dinner. I mean, I'm talking like relatively cheap places. I mean, everybody's getting hit up. So this is a really bad time for that. And they need to come up with and spend some money on better ideas, because just constantly asking for rate hikes, that's not a solution. That's just a temporary Band-Aid. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Messmore?
Hi.
Please state and spell your name for the record.
Last name is Messmore, Messmore. First name is Nikki, Niki. Yes, so coincidentally, my first name is 4 letters, which comes to mind a lot of other 4-letter words when I think about this proposal. 4-letter words like hope. I know you thought I was going to say something you had to bleep out on television, but hope really that you guys are going to make the right decision for people and not corporations and deny this proposal. Hope that you will vote for us, those of us who are just honestly trying to make a living. Earlier, one of my neighbors talked about how this is going to affect ordinary people. Hi, ordinary people. I work in education. It's August. It shows how much I care about this that I'm even here and standing at this point in time. But I figured if I didn't, I might have to teach my students Benjamin Franklin type experiments so they can generate their own electricity for the university. I don't think that's the direction we want to go. I don't think risk management would approve of that. But really, for me, as someone who works in education but also takes care of disabled family members, who doesn't necessarily have an extravagant lifestyle like our Mr. CEO, no idea what his name is, I just think of him as the super rich guy with no common sense. And it is hard to make a living, right? Especially with the recent congressional bill. Like right now, we're not going to see any effects right away. Once 2026 hits, 2027, we are going to see some devastating effects. We're already seeing major effects. In my role, I do a lot of community engagement with students in the communities, different nonprofits, and work a lot with our partners who work with unhoused and folks experiencing chronic homelessness. You might have seen the report that came out. Homelessness and chronic homelessness in Indianapolis is increasing intensely. I think it was like 22% chronic homelessness, and we unfortunately live in a state where out-of-state landlords are the ones who are prioritized in laws. It's very hard to be a renter. It's also hard for folks who own a home to pay those property taxes right now, and it's only going to get worse. With Medicaid cuts, with other threats, Social Security under attack, the fact is we can't keep going like this. We can't keep going like this because AES shareholders want their 5th vacation home in a tax haven on some island somewhere, while we are clipping our coupons, which aren't even that great nowadays, honestly. I do kind of feel like AES is that Arrested Development meme. How much could it cost? $10 for a banana? That is what they're asking of us. $30 a month. To someone who makes millions of dollars, they probably think that's nothing. They're like, that's the amount of money I give my dog every hour because they caught a bone. But for us, that's a lot. And so when I was growing up, both my parents were disabled. We were on Social Security disability. The fact that I even made it out of poverty in that sense is like amazing. Not a lot of people do. But I think so much about my family members and other folks in our community, my neighbors, who are living off of $800 to $1,200 a month because they are disabled, because they are a senior citizen, and they're supposed to factor in another additional $30. This is the kind of stuff that leaves people homeless, right? All for what? They talk about this being tree stuff, tree removal. I think of it as the AES building loves to have their lights on, making things look pretty to hide a really, what I think is some malevolent things going on inside, some selfish and greedy things. And that's what I think about this proposal. This tree removal, that's the shiny lights. Look at this, look at that, that's our good reason. The reality is, they just want more money. And quite frankly, we talk all the time about how people need a budget better, and we definitely talk that about low-income folks and how they need a budget better, but if your people, your shareholders are making millions of dollars, like, good Lord, I'll sit down with them. If they don't know how to budget, I'm more than happy to help. That's what we do in education. So, I really, really just hope that the committee votes against this, that the commission votes against this, but also really take some serious actions. This is so greedy, so unnecessary, especially, honestly, in this economy, to be asking for another $30. In my opinion, I have a cat, and when the cat acts up, I just spray it with some water bottles, and I'm not saying do that to AES. I'm also not saying that. What it comes down to is I am tired of living a lesser life because of the greed of millionaires and billionaires. We don't deserve to scrimp and save because the most wealthy in this country want to put their boot on our neck. Thank you.
I'm going to call up the last two names that I have here, Lynn Hill and Robert Cox. In Your Honor, neither of these witnesses have been sworn in yet.
Hi.
Ms. Hall, if you could wait one moment.
Oh, sorry.
You can stand there.
If you both could raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm the evidence you will give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Hall, if you could please state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Lynn Hall, Lynnehall. I live on the north side of Indianapolis. My neighbor and I traveled to the south side of Indianapolis so that we could be heard. Because, gosh, there's no meetings taking place on the north side in Washington Township where we have a right to complain and say that raising these rates is absolutely ridiculous. And as far as your tree trimming service goes and cutting and everything, what they don't tell you about that is that you get to pay for the trees they cut down because they land in your yard. I had tree trimming come out, AES, tree trimming's gonna come out, AES will be trimming your lines. They left my yard a complete disaster. I have photos. It looks like a tornado went through my backyard. I had to pay me, the consumer.
Make sure you speak into the mics, please.
Sorry. The black microphone is for the court reporter, so we just want to make sure that we get all your
I'm sorry. Me, the consumer, had to pay $700 because AES trimmed trees in my yard. Now, I went out and I spoke to the guy that was trimming the trees, the AES guy, and he's like, oh no, he said, I'll get my manager out here. You won't have to pay for that. No, no, no. I'll make sure I get that taken care of for you, because it was a hot mess, because a whole line had come down, had set my grass on fire, and it was a mess. But no, I got stuck. I got stuck with the $700 bill to have that mess cleaned up. Wasn't my fault that the trees had overgrown. I've got a vine hanging now that I'm just waiting. AES said we'll be out June 18th through June 25th to trim your lines. There's a vine hanging over this line, and it's just drooping and drooping. It's going to go, and people are going to lose power. My neighbor will probably lose power because I seem to keep power. She seems to lose power because she's at the end of the line for some unknown reason. We live 2 streets away from each other. The rate hikes are ridiculous. If you're going to hike our rates, then give us something for our money. But all you're doing is costing us more money, and then you come out and you do your services, and then we get to pay that too? How is that fair? I mean, yeah, $13 million. That's a lot of money for one person to make. But I'm on Social Security. I'm retired. My husband passed away. My fiance passed away. It's just me. I'm a single, retired individual. I don't have a spouse, don't have anything. I've got a 110-pound chocolate lab. That's what I've got. So I don't have any other support for these increases. I mean, just from May to this month, my bill increased over $100. And you're saying, oh, it'll go up $30, $40. How can you say that when it went up over $100 in 2 months? And that's me keeping at my house at 77 during the day and 75 at night. So I'm not keeping my house at 68 or 67 or, I'm not keeping my house overly cool. And I would venture to say, if you pulled all these people in this room, none of us make $13 million collectively. And I would venture to say, none of them are keeping their homes. I'm sorry, I'm sure that none of them are keeping their homes at way below what I would call normal temperatures. I mean, it was supposed to be an electrical co-op where the people, it wasn't supposed to be a monopoly. What happened? I personally liked APL. I thought they did a good job. If I had a problem, I could talk to somebody. AES, you can't talk to anybody. They won't talk to you. I'll call to pay my bill and try to use the automated system. And I tried for multiple days in a row. And I finally had to call customer service. It's like, hey, I've been trying to pay my bill, but the system, it disconnects right before it gets to the payment. She's like, oh, she goes, we know. She goes, we're aware the system is down. I go, well, I don't want to be charged a late fee because I've been trying to pay it before it was late. Oh, well, we'll take it off this time. Well, if you know your system is down and you know it's been down, I don't know, send an email. Send a text. I don't really care what you do. But fix it. And don't raise our rates because you've got crappy equipment. I mean, come on. It's not just the rate increase, and it's not going to be $17 or $30 because I've already seen mine go up over 100 in 2 months. And I'm not keeping my house overly cool. And I'm sure some people who might be bigger than me or prefer a little cooler temperature. I run very cold. So anybody that knows me will tell you that. I wear a sweatshirt in July. But you can't do it. Property taxes are going up. My property taxes increased. My homeowner's insurance increased. I don't know if anybody else is dead or not. But did all your homeowner's insurance and policies increase? Yeah. And then you guys want to increase. Everybody wants an increase. But now that I'm on Social Security, I make too much in Social Security to qualify for the lower rate for electricity. Oh no, you make too much on Social Security. We can't give you a lower rate. It's got to stop. Renewable sources are great. But if people like Google and Apple and all those places, they've been to North Carolina. I've seen what they can do. I've seen the communities and the buildings that they've built. My son works for one of them. They can afford it. They have the money. They have the know-how. These are not stupid people running these companies. Who's stupid is us for letting you guys get away with this for this long. That's who's stupid. And I really hope that you listen to us, because I have to believe that each one of you has to pay bills too. And that maybe, just maybe, I don't know, maybe it's getting a little tighter. Maybe you're having to put off a vacation or something. That not everything is like it was 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Everything is going up, and it's not stopping. And there's got to be a way to find some common ground. But when you can't even pay your bill the way they want you to pay it because the system's down, that's kind of ridiculous. And when I've got to pay to have your trees removed from my yard, and it costs me $700 on top of a bill increase, and we live in a highly wooded area, so it's not uncommon for them to come through and they go, oh, nope, fell in your yard, it's your responsibility. I was like, oh, but it came off your tree trimming line, the 10-foot easement you have on my property. Oh, but it fell in your yard. So, oh, if it had fell in the street, you would have cleaned it up. But because it fell on the other side of the fence in my yard, it's all my responsibility. And they didn't even do a good job. They went through there and just whacked. They cut things that didn't need to be cut, and they missed things that should have been cut. And I look forward to their arrival again soon so that I can pay another $700 to have their trees trimmings removed from my property. Just can't go through. People can't sustain. People won't sustain. And we're all going to end up losing. You'll lose residents from the state of Indiana.
Robert Cox. My name's Robert Cox, ROBERTCOX. I'll keep this short. I hadn't planned on speaking tonight. It's the first time being one of these. I won't repeat what everybody else said. I don't have the numbers with me. Like I said, I didn't plan on speaking. Just personal experience. Family of 4, 2 kids, one in middle school, one in high school. Twice a year, they come home with a care kit from AES, light bulbs and water, shower faucets, how to lower your bill, all this stuff. Every light in my house is LED. One TV is LED. My air conditioner runs at 70 at night. It's off in the daytime. Run fans and windows open. My bill is, in the wintertime, is about $400 a month. In the summer, it's almost $700 every month. I have done everything AES has said to lower my bill. They've come out, looked at our power. They said, well, there's nothing wrong with it. It's all your fault. Everything we're doing is our fault. I can't afford another $30, $40 a month. $700 a month for electricity is absurd. When everything shuts off at night, no lights are on at night. It's just, we can't do it. My community can't do it. The city can't do it. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Your Honor, that was my last form. I think we should take a break to see if anybody else wants to speak. Thank you.
You're welcome. We will go off the record and we will take a 5-minute break. Thank you. If everybody could please be seated, we will go back on the record. May I hear from Mr. Cashin with the OUCC?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the OUCC and the public moves for the admission of the following exhibit, which has been marked as Public's Exhibit FHA1.
Thank you. Any objections?
No objections, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. We will admit into evidence Public's Exhibit FHA1. Thank you for your participation in this hearing. Cause number 46258 is continued to the next field hearing, which will be held this Thursday on August 21st at 6 p.m. Thank you.